Hello, everybody. It is CR Daredevil, and it is time for another episode in our TNA series. This one being Lockdown 2015. A lot of big time matches happening on tonight's show, and we're going to have to see what all ends up happening with this. We've got the Lethal Lockdown in the main event. We have three, yeah, four championships on the line. I had to remember how many. Four championships on the line. The Lethal Lockdown. We have the two matches to determine people who will get title opportunities at Slammiversary. We have a couple of big time rivalries that are blowing off or that are coming to a head here. And so much more. We're going to dive into things with our opening segment that sees CR Daredevil and Maria Kanellis just kind of back in their office, welcoming fans to tonight's show, kind of talking a little bit about the matches tonight, hyping them up a little bit, just a nice little preview thing. I don't really have a whole lot of angles on this show, and I needed angle time because not Kurt Angle time. I needed angle time because our product has it where we're supposed to be doing we're supposed to be doing 80% matches on our shows, and so I kind of threw in a couple. So I kind of threw this in as a way to kind of help balance out the matches versus angles percentage wise. But yeah, it's just basically them, the two authority figures here in TNA, just kind of talking a little bit about tonight's matches and going from there. We go to the ring where our first cage match of the night, our first match of Lockdown, gets a 76 rating as Jay Lethal is able to defeat Colt Cabana in 13:27 via pinfall with a lethal combination to retain the X Division Championship, making defense number 5 of the title. 76 rating, 72 from Cabana, 70 from Jay Lethal. And as you see there, it's put this storyline to an end. We're going to be moving on. Colt Cabana is going to move on to other things, as is Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is going to have to find out who's next when it comes to challenging for the X Division Championship, which, to be fair, whoever wins that men's escape match later in the show could end up challenging him for that title at Slammiversary. We'll have to see. But it will not be Colt Cabana being the champion of the X Division. I thought about putting the title on Cabana, but Lethal's kind of my low-key guy right now. As you could probably tell, seeing as how he's the world champion in the AEW save. So I stuck with him, and we'll see as he makes defense number 5, and we'll see what's next for him in his title reign here. Then after that, we get a 61 rated matchup that sees Kana and cheerleader Melissa becoming the new TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, defeating Io and Mio Shirai in 10:44 when Kana gets the submission victory on Mio Shirai. Yeah, there you go. 61 rating. Pretty good stuff there. Part of me thought about pulling the trigger and keeping the Shirais with the titles. But I like the idea of this better. One, it keeps Kana's undefeated streak going here in TNA. Two, it kind of helps boost up this Kana and Cheerleader Melissa team. The whole idea that Cheer Melissa is apparently being shown respect by Kana and is helping, is quote unquote helping her get to new heights here in TNA. Plus, it gives the Shirais a little bit of a story of trying to get back to the titles, kind of thing. So, because right now Io, depending on how this plays out, because I don't know if she's going to keep that popularity. But right now, Io is recognizable status, but Mio isn't, and so it gives me a little bit more time to kind of boost them up popularity-wise again before I possibly get them the titles again in the future. We'll have to see. But it just, storyline-wise, it just made sense for this right now. Plus, there's, some other things that kind of make sense with everything going on too. So, but yeah, 61 rating for this match is really good. Good to see. But we have new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. So 2 title matches happening tonight. One has been successfully defended. One has been changed. So there you go. Interesting stuff so far. We still have 2 more title matches left on the night. Then we get this big rivalry coming to an end as Magnus defeats Austin Aries in a cage match in 12:02 by pinfall to Tormentum. No escaping cages so far. Interesting to see. I put all these as Cage Modern, except for the two escape matches, those are only escape. Yeah, there's that. So Magnus gets the victory over Austin Aries, and we will have to see what happens with both men heading forward. But they are done feuding. The feud between the two of them has come to an end here. It wasn't much of one, but it was a fun little short feud while it lasted. Maybe not fun, but it was a good little feud while it lasted. I was able to kind of get something for both men to be able to do, and did pretty good. Did pretty good. So 75 rating to blow off that feud there. In front of 42,266 people at the Chase Field in Arizona. By the way, we sold 42,000 plus tickets for a lockdown. That's insane. Then we move on to our 10 knockouts escape match. Only gets 58 rating. That's fine. I expected it. But as you see, we have Hikaru Shida, Jessie McKay, Serena Deeb, Kairi Hojo, ODB, Nicole Matthews, Mickie James, Rosemary, Gail Kim, and Portia Perez all in the matchup. I forgot to mention it when with the Daredevil Maria segment. But essentially what happened, what I chose to do with this, and it's going to be what I chose to do when it came to the qualifiers for these escape matches will be advanced in a video that's going to be upcoming here shortly. But what I did is I took everybody's win-loss record since the start of the save, as long as they've wrestled at least 5 matches, and took the top 10 of those who were not already booked for the night. So obviously, Kana wasn't eligible because she was already booked. Same with Madison Rain and Velvet Sky. So that's kind of the idea. So he took the top 10, put them in this matchup. Winner gets a shot at Slammiversary at a championship, and Gail Kim is the one that picks up the victory. She's the one that escapes at 11-17. The idea behind this, so Mickie James and ODB are obviously having their issues with each other. They were fighting for each other for most of this matchup. Nicole Matthews and Portia Perez, Canadian Ninjas, tried working together, tried to do what they could. Everybody else kind of fending for their own whatever. But Gail Kim and Serena Deeb, they're still kind of somewhat working together. And the idea was that Deeb was close to being able to climb out. But she ended up coming to the aid of Gail Kim. And it led to Gail Kim being able to escape the cage. So it was one of those things where, Deeb had to choose between winning the match herself and helping out Gail. And it was this big moment because it's she actually came to the aid of Gail Kim. So maybe she actually is coming to trust Gail now. So there you go. So Gail gets the victory, and Gail Kim will be in a title matchup at Slammiversary. But which title will she challenge for? We will have to wait and see. 58 rating. It was pretty good for what it was. I wasn't expecting a great rating out of it, so it was what it was. But there you go. Gail Kim has a guaranteed title match of some sort at Slammiversary. We'll just have to wait and see which title she ends up challenging for. Then we get a 63 rated matchup. I figured. I thought about making this a couple minutes shorter, but it's all right. But about that good wrestling, decent reaction. The Motor City Machine Guns are once again the TNA World Tag Team Champions. They defeat the Briscoes in a cage when Sabin pinned Mark Briscoe with Cradle Shock. And there you go. 63 rating. Could have been better, but also to be fair, there was no official storyline with this going on anyway. The whole story behind this was the Briscoes have faced a bunch of tag teams here in TNA so far. Here's, one of the top tag teams, and they couldn't beat them. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with the Briscoes heading forward. But the Motor City Machine Guns are your new tag team champions. What does this mean? We'll have to see, because boy howdy, if Velvet can somehow retain later in the night, boy howdy, are we going to hear it from the Guns and the Beautiful People in the next time that they do their new, their little joint promos thing. But there you go. So, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, new TNA World Tag Team Champions. Something I kind of wanted to do for a little bit now was put the titles back on them, because as many people, I also am a huge fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. And so I wanted to put the titles back on them at some point. But the problem was I kept having to deal with Alex Shelley working for New Japan half the time. But now that I've actually got them locked down to an exclusive deal with us. Now I don't have to worry about him splitting enough time between them and us and all that. So not that I wanted to, take the titles off the Briscoes immediately kind of thing, but Briscoes had a good little 3-4 month run there, and now they can try to work on bouncing back to try to get the titles back in the future. Then we get 60 rated video, just hyping up the history with Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky. It even kind of shows highlights because I purposely did this. Went in back and noticed that at Lockdown last year, Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky fought for the Knockouts Championship. But it was Madison Rayne who picked up the victory in that matchup over Velvet Sky to retain the Knockouts Championship at the time. So this video is kind of going over the history there, kind of going over the Lockdown match from last year, and Madison Rayne winning, going over Velvet Sky going through the Bound for Glory series and winning the title at Bound for Glory, going through Madison Rayne having to bounce back from her injury and getting this opportunity here tonight. And match gets 66. I'll take it. I'll take it. For a Knockouts matchup here in TNA, I'll take that for sure. Velvet Sky defeats Madison Rayne in a cage in 14-19 to make defense number 9 of the Knockouts Championship. She has held that title since October, so 7 months in game, and she has made defense number 9 of the Knockouts title now, so very dominant reign for Velvet Sky so far. But yeah, she gets the victory here, defeats Madison Rayne, and puts this storyline to an end. So she is, in theory, she has rid herself of Madison Rayne. She doesn't have to deal with her anymore, but she might have some other longtime TNA talent on the horizon because, again, like I said earlier, Gail Kim has that guaranteed title shot. Will she go after Velvet? Will she go after someone else? And if she goes after someone else, does Velvet then have to deal, who steps up to Velvet at that point? Of course, to be fair, Slammiversary is also in 2 months in game. So, Velvet Skies now has to get ready for Sacrifice or, some other title match in between that. But there is a Sacrifice pay-per-view before we get to Slammiversary. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. And we'll have to see what happens with Madison Rayne. She's got to bounce back. She thought she'd be able to get her title back here tonight, and she was unable to. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with her heading forward. Then we get our men's escape match. Again, top 10 winning percentages in TNA that weren't already booked in matches. A very interesting selection when I went to go look at it because, as you see, Brian Kendrick is in there, who hasn't really been booked super great, especially as of late, but he still had a pretty good winning percentage. Same with Chris Hero, who hasn't really had much to do since the Eddie Kingston feud. Same with Jimmy Jacobs, who's been kind of losing a little bit lately, but at the end of the day, these were the 10 men with the best win percentages that weren't in a match already. And out of all of them, Paul London is the one who escapes the cage and has a guaranteed title shot at Slammiversary. So that'll be interesting. What does Paul London do with that guaranteed title shot in 2 months' time? 56 rating. Kind of hoped for a little bit better, honestly, with that. I'm not sure. I kind of want to look and see. Probably lack of storyline. Yeah, lack of storyline. Because there was no storylines involved in this. That's all right. Would have been probably low 60s if it had been. But yeah, you can see the performances there. But Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly were obviously trying to work together in this matchup. Couldn't quite get the job done for them. Kendrick and London had a little bit of a stare down at one point, but got interrupted. Because of course, London's still trying to get Kendrick to change his mind and get back to teaming with Paul London. There was a little bit of a moment where EC3 looked like, was trying to demand Rockstar Spud to help him out, to help him escape and hold everybody off, however, and Spud ended up being like, screw you, and he ended up attacking EC3. So, some interesting stories that happened in this, but there you go. Paul London with the guaranteed title match at Slammiversary now. Then after that, we get a quick little video hyping up Beer Money, their history, their breakup, their getting back together, their breakup, all coming to an head here at Lockdown. And it gets a 72. As Bobby Roode defeats James Storm in a cage. 10:36 by pinfall to pay off. I kind of wanted to do it a minute or two longer, but I set this one to be my wild brawl for the night. And if I kept adding time to it, it probably would have hurt it more. But Bobby Roode gets the victory. He puts down James Storm, and we'll have to see what happens for both men heading forward. But this is the end of Beer Money for the time being. Like, we're not going to have, unless both men end up meeting in the Bound for Glory series or something like that, we're probably not going to be seeing Bobby Roode and James Storm in the same ring at the same time anytime soon. So there you go. Bobby Roode gets the victory, and we'll have to see where things head forward for him. Then, right before the main event, we see Roderick Strong kind of prepping backstage for the main event. When Christopher Daniels shows up, Strong kind of looks like, gets a little bit squared up. He looks like he's getting ready to fight Daniels, and Daniels like, hey, listen. I just want to talk to you. You're going out there with a lot of guys I know pretty well. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't choose me, that they chose you, but that's all right. That's all right. I just want you to know that I see the potential in you that they see. There's a reason why all of us had been friends for so long. I know that AJ and Joe see potential in you. I know that the Wolves see the potential in you. I see that same potential in you. That's why I want that match with you. I don't want the match with you because I want to make you suffer or anything like that. I want to wake up the potential in you. And so he says, like, as long as you come out of it unscathed tonight, I want to have that one-on-one match in the near future. You and me, one-on-one, no tricks, no BS. Fair battle between the two of us to see who's the better man at this time. Otherwise, I wish you the best of luck here tonight. And he puts his hand out, and Strong just kind of looks at him, just looks at his hand, and says, I don't really trust you, but I appreciate the offer. I appreciate the wishes of luck. And he walks off without shaking his hand. So there you go. A little bit of a teasing of that eventual match. We've been teasing this story for a little bit now, and so I wanted to make sure I teased it here on pay-per-view as well. Then it's time for our main event. Lethal Lockdown gets an 81 rating. You know what? I will gladly take that. I was a little worried that it was going to be more in like the 70s, like the mid 70s, so I will take an 81 for sure. In a good matchup, Team TNA get the victory over the BDC in 29:44 when AJ Styles pins Homicide with a spiral tap. There you go. 81 rating for the match. Shelton Benjamin with an 88. My God. Like, by the way, the dude in game-wise is 39 years old, and he's out here doing an 88 in-ring performance. My God. And you wonder why he's our world champion right now. He outshone everyone on his team by a lot. Styles with an 86 too, but there you go. So AJ Styles with a victory in this matchup. Might lead to certain something in the near future. We'll have to see, but there you go. So Team TNA able to get the victory over the BDC, and we're going to have to see what that ends up leading to, because you got to imagine that the BDC are not going to be happy that they lost this matchup here at Lockdown. Show ends with a 78 rating. I'll take it. Here's their popularity in 6 regions. I'll take it. I'm not disappointed by that at all. So there you go. There's Lockdown in the books. Yeah, turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I guess not a lot better, but it turned out to be better than I thought it was going to be. Some of those matches turned out to have better ratings than I thought they were, but they were going to as well. So there wasn't really any match where it's like, oh, that's kind of a little disappointing. Like, all of them actually turned out to be better match ratings than I thought they were. Oh my God. So first off, I didn't realize that we were running the same night as Extreme Rules. So that kind of sucks. We ran a pay-per-view up against Extreme Rules, which, as you see, got a 90 rating with 4.2 million people watching. That featured Daniel Bryan defeating Dean Ambrose in the main event with no title on the line. Just those two fighting each other, because I guess why not? So there was that. Sure. Boy, some of this card. Hornswoggle defeated Brad Maddox in a ladder match. Let's go. Karma's there in WWE, and she is the Divas champion. So that's something. Huh. So yeah, I didn't realize that we were going up against Extreme Rules, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. The thing that made me chuckle was that someone has retired, or someone has graduated to WWE. Nia Jax is officially on the scene, and she is in NXT now. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out. The Great Sasuke won a championship. Let's go. Trent Beretta just won a championship. Cool. Oh no, April Hunter retired. Oh no. Stuart Tomlinson. Yeah, I'm not gonna go after him. That's for sure. Shikara's signing up a few people. Interesting stuff. Let me see. Yeah, that's what I figured with that. A bunch of broadcasting deals coming up to expire soon for TNA. All right, let's look here and see. Yeah, there's a potential chance that we're going to be upsetting a broadcaster or two in the near future, but I'll explain that in a future video. So Lockdown is number 4 on our list of top 100 events. So that's good to see. It's technically tied for 4th with Genesis earlier this year and 2 other Impacts. So that's pretty cool. It's our second best pay-per-view of all time. Only 1 point behind Victory Road just last month. Matches of all time. You see number 11 there is the Lethal Lockdown match. No, they're in the top 20 there. Do a quick scroll to see. You can kind of see some of the other matches we've had over time where they're at top wise. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but Jay Lethal and Colt Cabana ended up there, number 42. And Magnus and Austin Aries ended up there, number 50. So that's pretty cool. Top attendances, that was our most attended show of all time. Pay-per-view buy rates, that was our most bought show. No, that wasn't our most bought show. That was our most bought show of the new era of pay-per-view, because we had a stronger pay-per-view deal back in April, May of last year. So it was our best pay-per-view buy rate since we lost the bigger provider back then. So that's pretty cool. I will take that for sure. But there you go. There you go. TNA Lockdown 2015 is in the books. And we'll have to see what happens with everything heading forward. Now, the next video in the series will not be a video where a show is going to get covered. I have a video planned that's going to cover, or that's going to technically be a part of all of our current TEW series. So the AEW one, the WCW one, the TNA one, and the CPW one. Because I want to explain something that's going to be happening heading forward. And so I figured I'd just do one video that's going to cover across all of them. That's why you haven't seen a recent video in the WCW series since Super Brawl, is because of that. So look out for that one. Should be on the channel probably the next day or two. We'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. And until next time, we will catch you in a future video.